heard everyone kind of excited in here in the locker room. Can you describe what this atmosphere was like when you guys came in here to celebrate this?
Oh yeah, it was an exciting atmosphere for sure. Back to the when them not having a lot of respect. Saying a lot of things about this and doing this stuff after they won last year in the playoffs and things of that nature. So revenge is best served as a cold dish. So it's great to come in here, start their year off 0-2, 0-2 in the division too, if I'm not mistaken. So it's great, and we're happy about it. But we're on to next week.
Offensively, starting there, we have to get our mojo back. We got to get that mojo that we had in the preseason where we're playing fast and fluid with confidence individually and collectively. We've lost that, to be blunt, in the last several weeks. We're not getting the type of fluidity that we want in our starts. We're not teeing up possession down play. Not being in advantageous possession down circumstances, and really is making it challenging to sustain drives and to score points.
I love it. I love it. Welcome to Brother from Another. Reeta Hubbard, the NFL chick, is here. And we just heard from Roquan Smith and Mike Tomlin representing the Ravens and the Steelers in the AFC North. Roquan was talking about the Bengals. That's another AFC North opponent. Tomlin talking about that mojo. They had a little bit of it on defense when they took on another AFC North opponent, the Cleveland Browns. So this is the AFC North start, Reeta, to Brother from Another. And I got to tell you, before we get started, like Mike Tomlin with the whistle, it looks like you go to gym class and that's your gym teacher. First week of school, you're like, oh, damn. Here we go. A gym teacher doing the most. He's got the whistle. No days off. Wait, no easy classes. We ain't going to ease into this thing. He's just going to be over us at all times. Blowing the whistle. No. Oh, man.
I mean, he needed that whistle anyway. He needed that whistle for that offense. That offense is not doing too well, to the point where fans were chanting "Fire Canada" and the offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, as they are not pleased with how they have looked in the first 2 weeks of the season. So maybe that is for his offense, who is being picked up by the rear by his defense and T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick and company.
So you look at this, though. Okay, Canada, not happening. The Steelers in Canada, not getting it done. The Browns, with their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, and Deshaun Watson, not getting it done. They were awful in Pittsburgh. Deshaun Watson especially, not getting it done. Cincinnati, great weaponry, but not getting it done. And then you got the Ravens sitting there at 2-0. The most explosive offense in the AFC North is that of the Baltimore Ravens. Imagine that. How do you see this division? I know you know Baltimore inside and out, but how do you see this division playing out? And is 2 games enough of a sample size to be predictive?
No, of course not. And I say that because the Ravens are still implementing their new offensive coordinators system that they currently have, as well as the new offensive players that they currently receive via free agency and the draft. So we don't know. And I think that it's fair to say that this is a conversation that's like, we don't know yet. And I say that because we don't know what is going to happen with Joe Burrow. I convincingly thought that the Ravens would win and beat your Cincinnati Bengals, Holley. I'm sorry to say, but I'm going to tell you why. I felt like that Joe Burrow's injury was going to hinder him. And in the first half of that game, he stood in that pocket like the Statue of Liberty. He wasn't comfortable. He didn't want to move around. In the second half, he did move around forcefully. He kind of got flushed out of the pocket, had to make some plays because obviously they were kind of looking for some scores at that point. But you could tell he didn't look comfortable. And then on that last possession that he had, he walked off limping. And now, his coach, Zach Taylor, is saying they really don't know what is going to happen from here. And we know that calf injuries could linger. and that could also potentially lead to worse injuries. So I say I don't know because I feel like it really depends on what's going to happen with Joe Burrow. Let's say Joe Burrow is 80% at some point of this year. Then I do think that it's a dog race, right? Because going 0-2 doesn't mean anything for the Bengals. They were in the same exact predicament as last year. The difference now is that you're dealing with a quarterback situation that you are very uncertain how this is going to play out, and you might have to tread lightly. And because of that, that's going to mean you're going to have to do things a little bit differently. I do think that the Bengals play well outside of their division, but when you start looking at their numbers, the teams that they play worst against are all in the AFC North. Cleveland has done nothing but upgrade their defense. The Steelers have always had good defense, and Mike McDonald has done really good things with losing the players that he's lost in the secondary. So I feel like that this could potentially be a problem. In the beginning, I would have said, the Ravens and the Bengals, you got to sprinkle the Browns in there because they had the talent. But Deshaun Watson isn't giving me enough faith at the moment to say that they can really arise in anything. So it might be the Ravens' time to shine in this year for this division. I don't know. It feels like the cards might be swinging in their favor.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating division. Every team has a great storyline.
Yep.
Every team has you would think is supposed to. Every team in the division either has a great quarterback or a quarterback with potential. Like Kenny Pickett is the guy with potential. The other three are supposed to be great. Deshaun Watson's supposed to be great. He's got a great contract, I can tell you that. So they're all interesting. But I must disagree with you.
Okay.
NFL chick. I got to disagree with you, Reeta.
Go ahead. Do what you got to do.
And I've heard this. I've heard people say, "Oh, the Bengals are in the same position they were in last year." No, they're not. Yeah, I know they started 0-2. Give me 0-2. Give me last year. If Zach Taylor could take last year, he'd say, "Sign me up." And so would every Cincinnati Bengals fan. My grandmother used to say Cincinnati. She didn't say. She called it Cincinnati. We going to Cincinnati this weekend. So the Cincinnati Bengals, I'd take it because Joe Burrow was healthy last year.
Right, exactly.
This game changer. This is all different. It's not just 0-2. That first game, I knew last year, Burrow throwing all those interceptions against the Steelers. And even after all those interceptions, they should have won that game. They were just a mess. They lose that one, lose the second game. They got Burrow upright. They'll be fine. Now, Reeta, I don't know. They scored 3 points in that first game against the Browns. He never looked comfortable against the Browns. You talked about him, how he didn't look comfortable against the Ravens. It was a competitive game. He re-aggravates the calf injury. I don't know. And he may not play in game 3. Don't sleep on the Rams. The Rams, thank you, Sean McVay, covered against the Niners. I made a little money on that one. So the Rams covered against the Niners. And then they go out and they win in Seattle. They win their first game. So that's not an easy matchup. Zach Taylor taking on his mentor or one of his mentors and Sean McVay. And you don't know if you're going to have Joe Burrow. Woo!
Yeah.
That makes me a little nervous. And I got to tell you, tell me if I'm wrong here. What am I missing? Because I feel like NFL teams, they're so smart and they have so many resources. And it's like, there are kids like this. They're really smart. They're book smart. They're so book smart that they're dumb. Like they can figure out all the, some philosophical thing here. They can figure out this formula, but then like common sense. You're like, what you thinking? See, people say Einstein couldn't find his way home sometimes, didn't tie his shoes, but, it's Einstein. Okay, the Cincinnati Bengals. In training camp, Joe Burrow is carted off the field. You shut him down. He doesn't practice for like 6 weeks, and you don't go out and get a quarterback? I mean, I know you're not looking for somebody to replace Joe Burrow, but
right.
I need a more secure bridge than what you have right now. Like,
absolutely.
Like, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
Yep.
And so you lose this game. Yeah, you got a franchise quarterback. You need somebody who can keep you afloat for 4 weeks. I feel like Burrow should have been on the injured list for 4 weeks.
Yep.
Should not even played against the Browns. Don't play against the Browns. Don't play against the Ravens. 2 more games. Give me somebody who can get me to 2-2. Then I'll bring back a healthy Burrow and I'll take my chances. Even at 1-3, I'll take my chances. Now you got Burrow, who's not healthy. You haven't won a game. Why didn't they have more insurance?
I agree with that. That's the perfect question, because remember when he first aggravated it, and then the conversations of when is he coming back started. Jamar Chase went on the record and said, "Oh, I hope he doesn't play for the first 4 weeks. I want him to make sure that he's healthy." And then he plays the first week of the game in Cleveland in the rain with an aggravated calf, right? All the recipes of bad, just bad, bad, bad. And like you said, they did nothing. The Cowboys went out and got Trey Lance. Whatever you feel about Trey Lance is how you feel. But at least you could have gotten, he was what, a fourth? They traded him for a 4th round draft pick or something like that.
4th rounder, yeah.
Why don't you go out and say, well, let's pick up some type of insurance policy? Because here's the thing too, Holley. We're sitting here talking about the AFC North, and that's cool. But let's not act like the AFC as a whole is an issue here for the Cincinnati Bengals. They have been to 2 back-to-back AFC championship games, and now you're in a division that has essentially repaired themselves. Well, there's at least 2 teams that you can say has done things to prepare themselves to make a run for the division. Okay, so now you might not even win the division. But now you're talking, if we're talking about wild card, where do you fit in if you fall too far behind without Joe Burrow or without a quarterback that can actually be a game manager until he's able to be healthy again? You still got the Chiefs. I know the Chargers are 0-2, and look, I am not high on Brandon Staley, but that team has too much talent for me to act like that they can't figure something out. You still got the Jaguars. You still got the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills. Where do you fit in, Cincinnati, if you fall too far behind because your quarterback is not 100% healthy and you have zero backup plan? No backup plan. That is crazy to me, because you have so much talent on both sides of the ball. You have to have an insurance policy. Joe Burrow, he was injured his rookie season. So I don't know why you didn't have one to begin with, quite frankly. And now you're here, and now there's a situation of, the Rams are coming to town, who has played very well the first 2 weeks of the season, and you're potentially going to be without your starting quarterback. 0-3 is looming real close to the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, and now before we pivot and bring in a very special guest in a few minutes, I want to get your take on this. I want to get your take on, I want you to call it, no qualifiers, no it's early, it's September. Who's going to win the division?
Ravens.
Who's going to win it?
Ravens. As long as Lamar Jackson stays healthy, I think that they have the potential to win the division, because, again, they played the Bengals very well. That has always been the case, hence why Lamar is 7-1 and playing Cincinnati and, only lost 1 game against Joe Burrow. The Browns, they have the talent. I don't trust Deshaun Watson. He has not played well since he has started as a Cleveland Brown starting the end of last year. Ironically, Baker Mayfield is playing at a high level in Tampa. Interesting enough. And then the Steelers, listen, they're always going to be in the thick of it, but they still, losing Deontay Johnson for 4 weeks is going to kind of put you in a bind. Kenny Pickett is still trying to figure some things out. I just don't know how consistent they'll be if they can't get that offensive rolling. So I feel like the Ravens are in the best position just from a head coaching standpoint, and in terms of the players that they have. If they can stay healthy, to me, they can win the division.
Yeah, I think they probably are. I think they are. And I talked about this yesterday. I love how the Steelers saved themselves against the Browns, because offensively, they had no business. They had no business even getting to 26 points. How they got to 26 points with an offense like that is shocking, but that's what happened. You get 2 defensive touchdowns, and you get a busted play where George Pickens goes for 71, and there you are. You're in business. But I don't think it's sustainable. Deshaun was bad. Deshaun was the worst in that game. But Kenny
With
Pickett,
2 personal fouls on top of that, by the way.
come on, you're the quarterback. You got 2 face masks. Don't you even know how to? So you can't hold on to the ball. You throw a pick six to begin a game, and you don't even face mask well. I mean, you don't even know how to like stiff arm. You stiff arm, and he's holding on to it. He's holding on to it. Anyway, listen. We'll see. AFC North. There's a lot to talk about there. We will continue to monitor this division as we go on, but we're gonna make a switch here. We're gonna bring in Rob Parker.
Yeah.
Rob Parker. Talk a lot of stuff with Parker. A little baseball, a little football, pro and college football with Rob Parker. That's coming up next on Brother from Another with my sister, Reeta.
From another mister.
There it is. Keep rhyming. Keep rhyming. To me, one of the most intriguing stories in baseball, and clearly the most intriguing player in baseball, is Shohei Ohtani. He's had his elbow surgery on his UCL. Doctor says, oh yeah, he can come back and hit in 2024. He won't pitch again until 2025. And he happens to be hitting free agency, which leads me to this point as we bring in Rob Parker, who knows baseball inside and out, up and down, east, west, north, south. Rob Parker, I say, despite not pitching in 2024, I'm going to pay Ohtani everything he wants and throw in an extra $50 to $75 million. What say you? Does this change your financial approach to Shohei Ohtani if you're one of these teams that's looking to acquire him?
Well, first I'm going to say, hey, what's up? Great to see you. Thanks for having me. Love to be on with my people all the time. But no, I'm with you, Michael Holley. Open up the checkbook and stop playing. Shohei Ohtani has not lost one nickel from what people think he should be paid. He will be the highest paid player in baseball, $500 million, $600 million, whatever you want to give him, because he'll make that money back for you with his fans in Japan and his international flavor and how much people love this guy. He pays for himself. So if I'm an owner, I'm all in on Ohtani, even if he can't pitch for me next year.
I have seen the magic of Ohtani in person. I went to see him when he came to Camden Yards here earlier this year. And you're right, Rob, the amount of people, like I've never seen so many people surround a bullpen to try to get like pictures of a guy just practicing and warming up ever in my lifetime. And like you said, I've never seen, it was so many Asian Ohtani fans there. I've just never seen a phenomenon like that before. So like you said, I definitely think that he's worth all the money. Couple things though. I think the Angels are foolish because I don't think that you're going to be you're not getting him back. I don't think. I personally think he's going to go to the Giants or the Dodgers or maybe the Mariners and stay on the West Coast because I know he wants to be closer to his home, but I don't think that the Angels are potentially in the running. So I would have traded him personally. If I'm not going to keep him in the offseason, I'm telling you, I'm going to rob some team blind, get some draft picks, knowing that I'm probably not in the running to get Ohtani back. That's just me. I could be wrong. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. We talked about it before at the trade deadline, and the Angels were on a hot streak. They had won 7 in a row, and Trout was out. So they bought into that. They were drinking the Kool-Aid, thinking they had a chance to make the playoffs. They didn't have enough pitching. I knew it wasn't going to work. They should have traded him. And instead, they're left holding an empty paper bag, and that's the problem. You can't let a guy like this walk in free agency and get almost nothing, and that's where the Angels are.
All right. At the risk of sounding like one of these back in my day guys, I got to do it. I got to do it. I have to do it. Now, if the irony is I'm going to do this, Rob and Reeta, knowing that Ohtani has an injury from pitching. So my pitching rant if you want to use it, argue against me, be like, hey, see what happens when you don't pay attention to monitoring pitchers. But that being said, Blake Snell, I'm sorry. Like, I still can't get past, everybody's okay with this, Rob. Baseball writers are okay with it. Managers or players are okay with the guy being taken out of a no-hitter. So he threw 100 pitches. 100 pitches. Blake Snell. And he's taken out of the game. And he tells his manager, yeah, you know, if I'm being honest, I ain't have much to go anyway. You threw 100 pitches, bruh. You got a no-hitter, and you coming out the game, and you're okay with that? I can't get past it. I can't get past the modern approach to pitching. And Rob, I'll say this. This comes a couple weeks after a Mariners pitcher was upset that his manager left him in the game. He said, I wanted to come out. He left me in the game, and I struggled. You chump. You wanted to come out the game? Right?
Mike, I would love to push back on you. I would love to. But hey, you kids, get off my lawn guy, too. And it makes no sense. We saw Blake Snell taken out of a World Series game where he's pitching a perfect game, no-hitter against the Dodgers. And the perfect game I was alluding to came the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw was pitching a perfect game, 7 innings, 80 pitches, like no stress pitches, no stress at bats. And they took him out of the game with the same premise that they didn't want to put him in too long or keep him in too long because he's going to wind up getting hurt. Guess what? They took him out, and he still got hurt last season. So all of this stuff of trying to save people and trying to stop them from getting injured is ridiculous. If a guy has good stuff and he's pitching a no-hitter or a perfect game, let him go. As soon as he walks a guy who gives up a hit, you pull him out. But until that, I'm going with perfection. I'm going for a no-hitter. I'm sick of it as well. Blake Snell is going to be the National League MVP with another 7 sterling innings, but he should have been able to pitch more until he gave up a hit.
I have a theory, and I'm curious to know what you guys think. So as we're getting close to the playoffs, I do think what's happening is managers are putting innings under a microscope. So they don't want their obvious starters for playoffs to exceed a certain amount of innings. So they're finding ways to take them out. So then that way, when the playoffs come, they won't be gassed out. Do you agree with the logic? You know, because I'm assuming this is something fairly new now when you start using analytics and all of those types of things. Yeah. Or do you say, nah, I don't care. Look, just push it to the limit. You should be ready to go.
I get that. If it was 140 pitches to get a no-hitter, I'm down. I'm not down with 140 pitches to get a no-hitter. If he was up that high, 100 pitches through 7 is not that much. And you give the guy an opportunity, and all the stuff that they've been doing lately with the analytics, and they don't always work out. So I don't understand why. It's the same thing in the NBA. Load management, they've had nothing but injuries. They've had load management. Kawhi Leonard still can't stay healthy. It doesn't even make sense.
Right. That's why I feel like we got to be fair with it. Like, so you will hear, modern athletes, and some of them not even great players like J.J. Redick, talking about the old school guys. Oh, they couldn't play right now. Oh, they couldn't play with us. The game's it's too fast, and we're too athletic, and these old dudes couldn't keep up. Okay, well, hold on. Okay, but the old dudes were able to play in Chuck Taylors. Okay, they were playing in low-cut Chuck Taylors. They had like 2 assistant coaches maybe, or 1 assistant coach. Some of them were taking trains. Some of them had jobs in the off season, so they didn't really get rest. They didn't have personal trainers. They didn't have chefs, all this stuff.
Mike, let me say this.
They found a way to play. Y'all can't play?
When I started covering the NBA, I used to fly commercial. I've been covering the NBA since 1987. And when I covered the New Jersey Nets, we flew commercial with the players. The players used to sit next to me on a flight. Everybody didn't sit in first class. people used to sit and coach NBA players on with general public.
6'6", sitting in the middle seat. trying to negotiate. Can I get this aisle, please?
Can't do that no more. You all know that.
Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah, let me ask you something else, Rob, because people may not know this about Rob Parker. He's a New Yorker, but he spent a lot of time in other markets. He was in Cincinnati for a while, spent a lot of time in Detroit. And so the unofficial team, a brother from another, is the Detroit Lions, man. We got on board with their 8-2 finish last year. They're 1-1 this year. That's why I asked you. That's why I asked. You don't believe it. You just don't trust it. It's just in the dirt, right? They can't be successful. Is that your point? They just can't do it?
When I was a columnist at the Detroit News, I covered every Lions game, okay? And I worked in Detroit for 20 years, and I worked at the paper for the news for 9 years. Went on every Lions road game. I want you to know they lost 24 straight road games twice during the Matt Millen era. Did you hear what I said? They lost 24 straight. They won a game, and then they lost another 24 straight. And I know everybody in Detroit's drinking the Kool-Aid. One of the players told them to bring blue ski masks to wear at the game. They should have wore paper bags after the ending they had against Seattle. They couldn't, Mike, even follow up a win in Kansas City with a home win, big crowd. This is what we call in Detroit, SOL. Same old Lions. And I'm not buying the Lions until they actually win the division, actually win a playoff game. Reeta, they've won one playoff game since 1957. Do you hear me? Is this on? One playoff win since 1957. How could that even be possible in this NFL where teams turn over all the time?
I'm not off the wagon yet. I do think that this division is up for the taking, right? I don't think we still really know what we're getting from Jordan Love. The Vikings defense is not good. I think that they're in a position to absolutely be in contention of the NFC North. But I am with you to the point where I'm starting to wonder if they just can't get rights of the NFL. I just don't know yet.
Well, I got to tell you, Reeta, I was watching a Football Life on Matt Millen, which was actually pretty interesting. I didn't think I'd stay with it as interesting. And Matt Millen mentions Rob Parker in that because Rob Parker had the line when he was getting people, hey, you got to get upset with these Lions. Let's have a Millen Man march. The Millen Man march.
Hey, Mike, I always give that credit. Matt said it's very clever. He mentioned it on his own biography. The fans revolted, and I wrote the column that we should have a Millen Man march.
A Millen Man march. Okay, now listen. Matt Millen, he was probably as unpopular as Deion Sanders is popular. I know you covered Deion as a football player, as a baseball player. Rob, what do you make of what's happening right now where we're tuning in? Think about this. We're crazy. We're all crazy. And I'm right there. I'm at the front of the line. We're tuning in to watch a football coach who doesn't play, but we're tuning in to watch the coach. What do you make of this?
It is a phenomenon. There's no doubt about it. Deion has all the personality, everything that he's done. Let's just be honest. Hall of Fame football player, was a very good baseball player and exciting. We saw this guy get an interception in a football game and then go get a home run in a baseball game in the same day. Like, that just doesn't happen to most athletes. And then with all of his charisma and just who he is, he's done a great job. I mean, Colorado won one game last year, and already they've won 3 games. And they got celebrities from all over the country coming out to see Colorado. Now, here's the big thing. We're all those people who were dissing Deion for leaving Jackson State. Remember that he ran a bamboozle on the kids and it wasn't right. And he went and took the money and left the HBCU. And then all the celebrities who have shown up so far, they better keep coming when they lose the next couple of games and they start losing and they ain't winning every week. Just keep the same energy. Don't be a front
Same
runner.
energy.
If you're going to, you know what? Because most people didn't even know where Boulder was. And now all of a sudden, you know, everybody and their uncle are there. They better be there when Deion loses to Oregon or if he loses to USC.
Which he plays.
But you know what, Reeta? Hey,
they play back-to-back.
Reeta,
Oregon this weekend, USC the following
Oregon
weekend.
and USC.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Reeta, because I know you have some thoughts on this. Deion is handling business on the field. Deion is entertaining off the field, but he also comes up with some, you know, pretty profound remarks, and people listen to him. This is Deion, you know, talking about a situation that we all saw. Here's his take on that situation when it comes to death threats. There were the death threats for a Colorado State player. Here's Deion.
Henry Blackburn, I want you guys to record this and run with this. Henry Blackburn is a good player who played a phenomenal game. He made a tremendous hit on Travis on the sideline. You could call it dirty. You could call it he was just playing the game of football. But whatever it was, it does not constitute that he should be receiving death threats. This is still a young man trying to make it in life, a guy that's trying to live his dream and hopefully graduate with honors or degree, committed to excellence and go to the NFL. He does not deserve a death threat over a game. At the end of the day, this is a game. Someone must win, someone must lose. Everybody continues their life the next day. Very unfortunate. I'm saddened if there's any of our fans that's on the other side of those threats. I would hope and pray not, but that kid was just playing the best of his ability, and he made a mistake. So I forgive him. CU, our team forgive him. Travis he's forgiven him. Let's move on. But that kid does not deserve that.
How about that, Reeta? How about that response? Yeah. And I know you have some feelings about this story and how it's developed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thank you so much, Coach Prime, for saying that, because it needed to be said. And it's really unfortunate that it needs to be said, right? Because it is just a game. The problem that I have, guys, is that I've seen grown celebrities picking on a college kid. I have seen this on social media. Grown men that have followings and influence attacking a child, attacking a young man in college making a play. And look, we can sit here and argue, do I think that the play was necessary? No. Did it look dirty? Yes. Ironically, though, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that's a regular play in college football. And I think that that's why you hear Hunter saying when they asked him, it's just football, because, you know, the rules have changed. But unfortunately, it's where he got hit and how he reacted after when he got hit. I think that upsets people. I think that y'all have to chill out on these kids. The people, these casuals that are jumping on the bandwagon are really upset, saying that this child should be suspended, which that's a slippery slope, because guys that are spearing, using helmet to helmets, you're not asking for them to be suspended, but you're asking a guy that led with his shoulder and his arm to be suspended. It's a slippery slope. These are still kids. Should he be reprimanded throughout his organization? Yes. Are you asking the NCAA to get involved? Well, then you're asking the NCAA to get involved with all of these. And that's where the slippery slope starts. And I'm glad that somebody spoke out and said, stop sending death threats to a young man, a child still in college.
Bravo. Deion is right on the money. He's a college player. We need to stop this. I mean, I don't, people are so caught up. And because, you know, it's really just has to do with, they can be, put out something on social media. They don't think about it. They don't think about the impact. And you talked about it, all the followers and making people, the angry mob mentality. It's really bad. And then if it was somebody, you know, their kid or somebody in their family was involved in something, they would be pushing back and telling people that they're wrong to attack a kid. I don't even know how you get away with that.
So, Parker, you said something about USC and, Colorado taking on Oregon and USC in the same energy. Reeta, you may have had a problem with what Dr. Parker had to say. What was the issue here? I want y'all to hash this out so I can sit back and just watch.
What issue did I have with Dr. Parker? Because I believe I'm with him. They do need to have the same energy. I mean,
that's all. You know what I'm saying? It's like people front run. run.
Yeah,
And,
oh yeah,
and they're
it's
out there
big time
now,
around
right?
here.
Because he's 3-0. But if they start losing, I'm just saying, is Lil Wayne gonna have a concert after they lose the next 2 games? I'm just asking.
Maybe. Maybe. Now,
Yeah,
let me ask you guys this. How far do you think Colorado can take it this year? We know they won 1 game last year. They're 3-0. Competition has not been great. Let's be honest. How far can you look at this schedule? How many games can this team win realistically?
If they can win 5 or 6, it's already been a great season. If they win 5 or 6, Deion should be very proud. There's a lot of turnover on the roster, right? A lot of new stuff, new pieces, parts. I mean, and Deion getting acclimated and everything. I mean, beating TCU to open, that just kind of set the tone, obviously, because they were in a national championship game. But if they win 5 or 6 games, it's a successful season. I'm not expecting more than that.
I agree with that. I definitely think that 5, I see 5. I see 2 more wins based on this schedule that you guys are putting up. But again, we like to stomp on the Pac-12 because of its demise and how poorly they've been in terms of their functions, their day-to-day functions. But they still are one of the best. If you notice, like how many teams are ranked in the they still have one of the best conferences in terms of that. So, I mean, he's definitely exceeded what people's expectations are. And I think people should revel in that. But when the reality does start to set in, you better stay on that wagon, baby, because I'm going to remind you how you was acting when it was 3-0. I'm definitely going to be there if they turn 5 and 7. I'm going to remind you.
Well, I'll say this on the way out. One, that Colorado has a different mentality, a different view of reporting and attention than USC does, Rob, where they're trying to shut down reporters for doing their jobs. So I think that's part of the reason we're drawn to Colorado. They're a little bit different. And I'll also say this, Mr. Parker, happy anniversary. It's the Odd Couple, you and Chris Broussard. 5 years of the Odd Couple. May you have 55 more. I know Broussard's not saying that about you. Broussard ain't saying that, but I'll say it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yep, Fox Sports Radio every night, 7 to 10 Eastern. We appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Ron Parker, good to see you.
As far as like Golden State, like I respect what they've been doing over the last 8-9 years or whatever. And I'm from there. Obviously, that's home, but I can't go be a part of that.
I agree.
Like they done won 4 championships. Like what I look like going to try to do that and say, oh, I'm joining my home team. Like, no, it's somebody that played my position. That's behind LeBron, the best player of this era. You know what I'm saying? So it don't even, to me, that don't even make sense. I never do nothing like that. I'll lose every year before I go.
So you trying to say with KD did you wouldn't do that?
If
Kevin Durant,
I've
Kevin Durant,
I've
my man, I'm not
said
talking about
I've
it.
said this plenty of times before. I think KD is obviously he's one of the greatest players of all time. But if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't have done that personally. Like I just felt like it's the team they lost to. It's a team that had been. I think they had won it a couple of times, or they had won it once before he got there. I wouldn't have been able to. That ain't something that I would have did. But I think everybody's situation, you got to do what you want to do.
Reeta, I like Dame Lillard. I do. I like Dame Lillard a lot. And I think everybody likes Dame Lillard. See, Dame gets the benefit of the doubt where some stars don't. See, we all remember Dame doing that. We remember Dame getting up. Let me see if I got a mic here. Grabbing the mic. I got a mic. See it? Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. So we remember Dame grabbing the mic and saying, Rip City! Drop the mic after winning a playoff game. But we never talk about, now Dame's had some 3 for 17s in playoff games. If you're a Warriors fan, you probably look at Dame and be like, oh, that's cute. Because if you look at Dame's numbers against the Warriors, not great. In the playoffs, like the Warriors are good with him. And maybe because they can focus on him. So what I'm saying is like that's my. I like this. I like the way he rhymes. I like his flow. I don't know what he's talking about though. I'm not really sure what he's referring to, because if you're saying you wouldn't do that, you don't want to go to a team that's already established. So you don't want to chase rings. Yet you don't want to be in Portland. You only want to go to Miami. Mm-hmm. Miami's been to the finals without you. The organization has won championship. I guess I'm just trying to figure out what. I mean, I don't get it. What are you saying? Are you saying you don't want to go to a contender, but you do want to go to a contender? You want a contender, but a contender that's not too good? Is it just East Coast? You want to go to a contender? Like if you had a chance to go to, you didn't want to go to the Celtics. He doesn't want to go to the Celtics. They played in the finals a couple of years ago. Miami played in the finals this year. You do want to go there. Would you want to go there if they did win? Is it better because they didn't win? I don't know. What do you think? Because I'm a little confused following the logic.
I am confused as well. I don't understand. I think that he thinks that it's better because KD went to the team that beat them in the conference finals, and that makes a difference. But I'm here to tell you, Dame, it does not, okay? Because what happened is the bottom line is still the bottom line, okay? The team that KD went to, he went to that team because they lost. They lost in the finals, right? 73-9, and then they lost in the finals. Same thing with the Miami Heat. They went to the finals and they lost to the finals. So I know you think it's different because you said, oh, I didn't go to the team that literally beat me to go to, the NBA finals. It's not different, baby, because the bottom line is still you want to go to a top contender. That's the bottom line. So this is the problem that I have. Sometimes it's just better to not speak on people. The one thing about me, right, Holley? I'm a Gen Xer, right? What do we do as Gen Xers? We mind our business. We don't worry about what other people got going on. We stay with what's going on over here. The millennials, the Gen Zers, y'all always in somebody's business. Why are you worried about what KD is doing? Okay, and if we want to get real nasty and dirty, we can look at KD's numbers when KD was at OKC and look at just OKC's numbers, and then look at your numbers, Dame, and be like, hey, maybe you should mind your business. Because if someone really wanted to get petty, they could absolutely show that KD could do whatever he wants, because what he did in OKC was unprecedented and did more than what you did in your town. So mind your business. Stop putting people's name in your mouth. Worry about what it is that you want to do, because you sound and look like a hypocrite.
I'm going to tell you what, Reeta, I'm going to say this. I'm so glad that we're friends and that we're not enemies, because if I'm a Reeta enemy, I can just see you just like, just like somebody verbally, I can just see them just shrinking. They're just shrinking. They're just shrinking.
Oh, and I meant to add this too. Holley, I meant to add this too. Our good friend, your producer. Oh,
and you got something to add? And you're adding something too.
Nat said that the Warriors don't want him anyway. Okay, that's what she said. She said Dame is saying something that don't even exist because it ain't even like they looking for him. She said that they ain't checking for him. That's what she said.
Ouch.
So,
okay, one more thing. See, now you got me going here. One more thing. Since you are getting down to the nitty gritty, I will add that sometimes. And there are a lot of players like this. I'm not blaming Dame Lillard exclusively. Now, he's a big part of it, but he's not the number one reason that Portland, in his career, has had 5 first-round exits. Okay, 5 first-round. They make the playoffs, bye-bye in the first round. The Warriors, one year, I went to the conference finals, and they got swept. I think they got swept. Or maybe they won a game. I think they got swept. Anyway. Because he has 5 one-and-dones, you haven't had the opportunity to face a lot of teams and go to a lot of teams that beat you in the playoffs, because you keep losing in the first round. At least the Warriors, in OKC, like Kevin Durant was making the semifinals and conference finals, and they got over the hump one time and played in the NBA finals, but they weren't just one and dones. They couldn't get over the hump. So you say, oh, they beat you. Yeah, because they advanced.
Yes.
You haven't had it. Last year, y'all ain't make the playoffs. You played in 59 games. Y'all don't always make the playoffs. So don't be judgy when you ain't even making the playoffs, or you're not going far in the playoffs. It's not analogous. Yep. Like, get this man his due. Yeah, he went to the conference finals. They were up 3-1. Yeah, they blew it. And he went to the team to beat them, but he's out there competing. He was a man in the arena, and Dame and the rest of the Warriors were like us, watching on TV. Anyway.
And I don't even we're not going to sit here and act like KD didn't win the MVPs of those finals like he was just some dude, right? Like, he obviously was literally listed as the most valuable player of those teams. So he did what he was supposed to do. Twice, right? The Warriors felt like they needed KD to get over a hump of losing to the Cavs, and because LeBron was still LeBron at that time. And I'm not mad at that. Like, I know people get mad about that, but I was always taught to work smarter, not harder. And so if I can cut a little bit of corners to get to the promised land, then that's what I'm going to do. I mean, obviously, legally, morally, it's going to still be in check. Just because you felt like that KD should have taken a harder route doesn't mean that KD has to feel the same way. I'm not mad at that. And Dame, you don't want to take the hard route anymore either, because that's why you want to go to Miami. Let's be honest here with ourselves. That team is structured very well, and you feel like you're the missing piece to what could take them over the hump. And that's okay. But you don't have to speak on other people's situations to make you look better. It's not necessary.
He's out. Yeah, he's definitely out. He ain't trying to go back there. He's setting it up.
They drafted his replacement. I can't say that I blame him, but don't be putting KD name in your mouth.
I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. Yes, she would have.
Yes, she would have.
Yeah, like, and KD was a free agent. He got the pick. And now you got to ask. You got to ask for them you got to threaten teams. Not, hey, don't trade for me. I may not show up. KD had a choice.
Yep.
He picked the Warriors.
And he made a good one.
Reeta, I don't want to be your enemy. That's my takeaway. I don't want to be your enemy.
From the school of hard knocks, baby.
All right, welcome back to the show. Reeta, just going to read it straight, let you take it from there. I'm just going to be impartial. Just reading it. It says, this is from the New York Post, the same publication that brought you Headless Man Found in Topless Bar. That was the New York Post. Here's the headline: Aaron Rodgers believes in the healing power of dolphin lovemaking. Your thoughts?
Whatever floats your boat, I guess. I don't know how to feel about that. Because I don't know what dolphins sound like lovemaking. So I'm not really sure. I haven't partaken in that.
They probably just sound the same. They sound weird anyway.
I know.
They always sound weird.
Right. So what would make any difference than them making love? Okay, whatever. My favorite thing about Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers just talks the talk, I believe. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers believes a lot of things that he says because he just says things, right? That's just where I stand with him. And as you can see, I said that I think that he's a medicinal hypocrite or a hypocrite of medicine. And I stand by that because Aaron Rodgers refused to take a vaccine that would have helped prevent a spread of an infectious and deadly disease to millions of people. Yet Aaron Rodgers is trying to got surgery for his Achilles and trying to get medicinal procedures to help him essentially try to come back before the end of the season if the Jets makes the playoffs. So you believe in medicine when it comes to you individually, but you don't believe in medicine when it comes to community benefits. And I don't understand that. And I think that that's very weird. And again, you just talk the talk. You don't trust the government. You don't trust the system. I don't know what it is that's going on with you, but you trust it enough to feel like that you have an opportunity at 39 years old, Holley. The man is pushing 40. He at the hill. He's right there at the hill, like the Price is Right thing that right before it goes over the hill, he's right there. Yep. Okay, yeah. And you think that you can potentially come back because of why? Science and medicine. So you do believe in science and medicine. You just only believe in it when it benefits you specifically and not those around you. It's a hypocrite.
Yeah. So how about this dolphin thing, though?
I'm sorry. Again, he just talks the talk. It feeds into my purpose of, I think Aaron Rodgers just likes to talk. He likes to talk. I don't think that he means any of this stuff. I think he just says it because they know that we're going to run with it. This is what I believe. You know what? I believe he says things, so we run with these things.
Well, I'll tell you this, Reeta. We started, Brother from Another started in 2020, September 2020. We've had this music. We've had this music the entire time. I think we should come back and use dolphin lovemaking music. We should mix that in and see what it does. I don't know. I'm curious.
If you do
tomorrow,
that, lose my number.
The dolphin lovemaking version of Brother from Another.
Don't call me back. Thank you so much.
Thanks for hanging out. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.